Welcome to our Predictive AI World podcast series focused on the rise of artificial intelligence and its impact on businesses. We now live in the age of disruption where data volume and growth is unprecedented, and to cope, AI has become the new fuel to our ever changing digital intelligent world. My name is Malay Upadhyay, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Strategic Business Development at SalesChoice, and I am your host for the series. In the series, we will interview founders, C level executives, and thought leaders to discuss the rise of artificial intelligence, machine learning, predictive analytics, and Internet of Things, also known as IoT. The series will explore in an informative interview style how these new digital technologies are impacting businesses globally. My partner in crime will be Dr. Cindy Gordon, CEO at SalesChoice, an AI and data sciences leader in the CRM market. And today we are hosting Jean Mork Bredeson, founder and president of Service 800, a leading customer experience company performing global customer feedback and service quality measurements for big brands like Lexmark, Johnson&Johnson and Johnson Controls. So, our topic for today: why customer service leaders must embrace predictive churn driven by artificial intelligence and machine learning approaches to survive in the age of distraction. After all, customer loyalty is more difficult today than at any other time in history. So, Jean, let's start with you. Welcome to the series and thank you for being here. What is happening in the customer service industry that is top of mind to your clients?
Thanks, Billy. As you know, Service 800 is a longtime expert in collecting customer feedback and relating the feedback to hundreds of customer and delivery characteristics. Our clients have become increasingly sophisticated with using our measurements and correlations to manage their service and products. The kind of visibility that they've become accustomed to around the service experience and how it affected or impacted their customers, and what's most important at relating to their improvements, is allowing our clients to develop and deliver the best and most profitable offerings. So now that they have had a handle on what did happen and are working to make it better, our clients are starting to think about what will happen. Fixing what needs to be fixed is crucial, but so is anticipating and potentially preventing what's likely to happen. It's painful to have to manage a disgruntled customer. It's too expensive to lose and replace clients. So our clients are starting to look at predictive analytics to help them proact and to prevent costly distractions or abandonments. So obviously, for a company to grow, it must get and keep customers and keep more customers than it loses. I believe that you refer to losing customers or attrition as churn, and you define it as the percentage of customers that discontinue their contract or use within a given period of time. But churn rates vary by industry. For example, credit card churn rates can hit a high of 20% annual churn, while SAS customers often hit levels of 7 to 10% churn rates. Certainly preventing a loss of customers and lowering churn increases profit, and it especially increases customer success.
Cindy, let's talk about the rise and growth of AI in businesses. So now it has been significant. What are you seeing?
Thanks, Malay, and Jean, thank you for joining us. Clearly this topic is really quite an important one because the sheer volume of, concerns around loss of customers. And so with the, I think, proliferation of data and AI, which in many respects, we're kind of in that next big thing phase. It reminds me of 20 years ago when we were questioning, will e-commerce have an impact on business? And the reality is that AI is probably going to be the most significant transformational change that I believe I'll see in my lifetime as it starts to basically permeate not just the chip manufacturing sector, but all software wrappers, all hardware, all service makers, all business processes. And so we're now at a point where it's kind of like becoming the new fuel. It's promising to make our cars safer. I think we certainly have a ways to go there, but I think we can certainly see the more intelligence and telematics that's moving into the automotive industry. Certainly, the infrastructures on the cities, more efficiency, where you've got AI controlling all of the traffic patterns in real time to predict, where there's going to be congestions and, automatically move things around. I think the exciting part is certainly on the healthcare sector, where we've got disease-fighting drugs, and the promise of improving everybody's overall, well-being. I think is one of the, I think the longer-term promises. So net, there's just a lot of innovation in the sector. And then going back to Jean's comments in terms of customers really wanting to drive preventing losses, AI can be a very powerful sense maker where you're really seeing futures based on historical patterns. The market itself right now, Malay and Jean, it's interesting. The stats I was looking at last year were about 30 billion. Now it's around 60 billion by 2025. And there are certainly some predictions that it will surpass 100 billion. So we've certainly got some buoyancy through the analyst market on different points of view there. I think no one's going to dispute the fact it's going to be a big sea change for literally all of us. And, to me, that's exciting. And at the same time, I think there's a lot of thoughtfulness that has to go into the risk and regulatory environments to, really be quite strategic on the kind of world we want to live in. I think the other factor is that business executives are all starting to put significant investment dollars into, working through their strategies and how they should pace themselves. We were just at a bank earlier today and, starting to talk about a large global AI roadmap. So there's definitely a lot of focus, a lot of interest, a lot of excitement, a lot of venture capital in the market. And I think it's a good time, Jean, for us really to be putting these customer building blocks in terms of the next, iteration of evolution. So it's an exciting time, Malay, very much so.
All right. No wonder 72% of business leaders, I believe, consider it a business advantage. That's pretty crazy. Well, thank you, Cindy. All right. So let's bring these two together now. Jean, what are the top challenges in the world of a customer service or a customer success leader that you are seeing where AI use cases can be applied to help them jump into the AI arena?
Well, what's happening now is that service managers and service and product strategists are finding that timely customer feedback can drive timely reactions to solve problems and ultimately impress customers. They're starting to understand that the value of customer feedback doesn't stop at experience, and being able to associate a single customer experience to the many characteristics of that single service event becomes a roadmap to doing the right thing for the customer and of course for the business. So running a service organization is a big job, and there's never enough time or money to make every improvement. Being able to identify the one thing with the biggest impact simply makes service management smarter. It's one of the reasons that AI is catching traction. There is an opportunity to be able to use the data to make that difference, and it is all about data. Service organizations are starting to recognize that if they carefully collect and keep current on their data about their customers, their agents, their partners, their trouble types, their solution types, and so forth, that they're beginning to build a gold mine of information. So the first layer of the data is about the individual service event, and it's pretty straightforward what kind of data that might be. But the second layer of data is a little bit more innocuous, and that data is important to any analytical event because it extends well beyond the service experience itself. So for example, it's usually difficult to associate actual purchases or renewals or spending patterns with individual customers. But the game is on, and the progressive organizations are figuring out how to assemble the data that they need to support valid prediction. Perhaps we can talk more about the concepts and tools that service executives need to understand so that they can get the most value out of the data that they collect.
Oh, certainly, absolutely. In fact, just to build on that point, how well do you see your clients and customer service teams being able to use AI-driven methods? How well prepared do you see them to be, and what stage do you think we are currently at?
Well, I think that there's great interest, and I think that artificial intelligence and predictive analytics are emerging as powerful tools. However, there's much to learn, and many of our clients don't have the skills or expertise in-house to tackle building AI models or to build custom applications that can solve their specific use cases. But some of our clients are experimenting. As you know, Cindy, I appreciated our work together as Service 800 and SalesChoice collaborated on a large global data set from one of Service 800's major manufacturing clients. The SalesChoice team analyzed thousands of customer service experience and history records and made 730 churn observations and 42 significant churn variables. We were excited that the analytics identified 5 major parameters with a 90% reliable prediction of the customers with the highest odds of churning. Since the cost of losing just one of those enterprise customer accounts could be as much as $2 million, these were very significant indicators. We all appreciated that many service metrics and loyalty measurements can look normal, but the science can pick up the hidden signals. And this experience made the experiment and the adventure into predictive analytics a very powerful revelation.
It was indeed. As they say, with great power comes great responsibility. So, Cindy, what would you say are, let's say, some of the AI risks that one should consider, especially as a chief services or customer-facing officer?
Yeah, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about the risk, but I think I'm going to talk first about, kind of building on the little story that Jean told, one of the observations. I think the key point is we all need to, I think, internalize in these chief service officer roles that the time is now and to move quickly. To Jean's point, there's definitely experimentation, but it's not moving as rapidly as organizations could to secure a competitive advantage. I see that this sea change is absolutely as significant as putting in infrastructure for online enablement to communicate with your customers. So obviously, the most important thing in the application of AI, machine learning, or data science methods is not to get too enamored with the technologies. I think, first of all, AI is been here for quite some time. It's just that the data volume is at such a crescendo and continuing that tsunami after tsunami that humans need different sense-making approaches, and AI can analyze patterns and deeper levels than other technological approaches. But I think the first point, before we talk about risk, is you really need to step back and be clear and articulate about the problem that you want to solve with AI. The problem we're talking about in this particular series is around how can I avoid loss of customers, and could AI methods, if there's a sufficient data set, be used to give you insights across all those customer service breadcrumbs or other service experiences, in terms of end-to-end of all the customer interaction, touch points within an organization. And the answer to that is a resounding yes. So I'm very encouraged by that. At the same time, the issue we secondly have is the quality of the data, and ensuring that it's representative, and that there's a pattern that's significant. And certainly you need the expertise in-house in terms of statistics, inferences, making sure that you're using the right methods. Bayesian statistics are a very deeper learning. I still see a lot of people doing frequency count analysis, and really, driving outcomes and recommendations that aren't as sound, etc. So I think that organizations need to, ensure that they've got the right skills and resources in their organization. Also, sponsorship. Earlier today, Malay, we were out with a customer call, and first time, Jean, we found a chief AI officer, and they also have a chief data sciences officer, and they also have a CIO. and this is at one of the global banks. So, we are starting to see, where there's, sort of some evolution in org design as well right
That's so
now.
cool.
Yeah, and then the other piece, obviously, and this never goes away. It's like with any technology wave is what are the measurements and the metrics that you need in place to make sure that there really is a return on those investments, those business fundamentals. I think the piece that I'm getting back to your earlier point that I am quite concerned about, and obviously we've been pretty vocal about this in our services to clients, is really trying to escalate the awareness of the regulatory, security, and privacy risks that AI and different methods will require deeper cybersecurity practices, particularly with some of these algorithms that can evolve naturally and organically and not having the snapshots every single second. So, there's, I'd say that the technology innovations are out more maturely than necessarily the regulatory privacy and security environments and the governance frameworks are out. So I think that's going to be big business. The other thing, Jean, that I kind of giggle sometimes a little bit, pardon that little analogy, giggle, is I just say often to folks is if you are using any of these advanced methods, where are the algos? And they really should be in a vault because these are mathematical, often complex formulas, and very few people understand them because of the nature of the algebraic structures. And often one scientist builds one algo, etc., but then another scientist has to try and understand, and often there's not documentation, kind of that human tendency. And so we've got some big issues within the tech stack, and so I'm always playfully asking C-levels, where are your algos, and are they in a vault, and do you understand, and how many do you have? And I usually get a glazed look. But that's a very serious question, particularly the financial services industry. So I think we're going to have a roundup. I mean, Jean, I'm from Northern Alberta. You've had certainly some experience, but I do think there's a roundup coming of far more deeper due diligence. But it's an exciting time for sure. But, the basics are always there, and we have a white paper too that is going to be posted on our website that just shows you the journey that you need to go on to be ready for AI enablement. And but if you don't identify clearly the problem set and the data sources and the methods and the enablement, both within the people and the talent, all the normal things you see in any kind of a change management program, you're just not set up for success. So we're certainly not in a mature stage with AI for predictive churn. There is lots of emergence, and we could go a whole lot faster.
Thank you, Cindy. So, Jean, coming back to you, and to conclude this, bring this all together, what concluding messages do you have for companies interested in improving their customer service operations, particularly in developing predictive analytics or AI capabilities?
Well, I think from this conversation, it's clear that there is a need and an opportunity, and certainly there's the energy. So I think that the most important point is to get started. It's a good time to start thinking about what predictive indicators would help your company and how data could support a predictive analysis.
Mm-hmm.
What's important here is that it doesn't have to be a costly circumstance. There are many open source tools with which you can experiment and begin to learn. And you can also look to experienced analysts that can help you both with the business process knowledge as well as the technology and enablement. I really think that Service 800 and SalesChoice can help with advice and ideas. So there are three things that one could consider. First of all, you may want to think about a workshop or an assessment so that you can understand the potential of the data that you have currently available and start to identify what kind of data you need so that an analysis can be more targeted, more successful, and certainly more rich. Another opportunity would be to prototype your use case and test assumptions. That'll help you identify the requirements and the investment that you need to build a solid infrastructure that will produce reliable predictions for you. And a third option would be to consider an executive leadership session to educate your boardroom, your C-levels, your peers and operational lines of business, because we all need to understand the potential and the value at advanced analytics and the AI sciences, and start to bring them to life.
All right, we couldn't have said it better, to be honest. Thank you, Jean, and thank you, Cindy, both of you, for joining us today. And thank you to everyone listening to today's podcast. We hope it explained why customer service leaders must embrace predictive churn, particularly driven by AI and machine learning approaches to survive in this age of distraction. If not, you can always send us your support needs to marketing@saleschoice.com or to Gene at service800 at info@service800.com. More AI educational content, of course, can be found by visiting our website at www.saleschoice.com. See you at our next podcast. That'll be all from us today. Thank you very much.